Alas, you are dead, sir. That actually reminds me, the other day I was walking down the street and I saw a worm on the sideway. And I picked up the worm and I felt bad because worms should live in the dirt. And the worm was dying, so I tried to grab him with a stick because I didn't want to grab the worm with my hand. I grabbed him with a stick and then I put him back in the dirt. And I put him back in the dirt because I realized the fragility of life. You know, some creatures, they live for a few years. Some creatures, they live for maybe like 10 months. Some creatures live for a week. And I felt really bad about the worm, so I picked him up with a stick to put him back on the dirt. Anyways, that's when I saw my neighbor walking by with his dog and I waved at him. I said hi. He had a cute puppy at that time, but I think the puppy grew up. Anyways, what was I saying about the worm? That's right, I put the worm back on the dirt so the worm would live. But then that's when I noticed that the worm crawled back onto the sidewalk. The worm crawled back onto the sidewalk. That's when I realized some creatures are meant to live for only a short, significant amount of time. And I felt so bad about it. It made me realize that, you know, we should be grateful for the amount of time that we can live. Unlike the poor worm. And that's when I realized I had to start doing more with my life. So anyways, I started working out. I started going to the gym every other day. I started working out. I started, every time I would see an old lady crossing the street, I would carry her bags for her. I would... Alas, you are dead, sir. This was back multiple years ago. In fact, it was quite a while ago. When I was visiting London. And in London they have a lot of swans. And I had gotten some bread. I had gotten some bread to feed the swans. It was actually rye bread. Think of the coincidence. It was rye bread, which is quite nutritious actually. The rye bread is actually quite nutritious. So I got rye bread to feed the swans. And actually, I was not feeling very well that time. I had eaten Pizza Hut. And if you didn't know, I really hate Pizza Hut. I really hate Pizza Hut because the Pizza Hut made me sick. It was my first time eating Pizza Hut in the UK, and ever since then I haven't been able to eat Pizza Hut. But the crust is very good. The crust is very good. Actually, maybe I should have saved the crust. Thinking about it, I should have perhaps saved the crust to feed it to the ducks, to the swans. I should have perhaps saved the crust from the Pizza Hut. Anyways, I remember being very sick that day. I was very sick after eating Pizza Hut. But I had walked to the lake, and as I said, there was many swans in the area. And I don't know why I picked rye bread. Perhaps it was because it's the most nutritious bread, especially for all animals. Rye is in fact one of the most nutritious bread. So anyways, I had some rye bread in my hand and I was picking it apart as you do when you feed animals. I was picking apart the rye bread to feed all the swans. When suddenly I got attacked by many swans. There was like 15 swans attacking me. 15 swans all kept on attacking me, and these swans are actually quite aggressive. If you don't know, swans are actually rather aggressive creatures. They're rather aggressive, and I was feeding them some bread. I was perhaps very, very young. You know, I was about 5 or a few years old. I was feeding the swans and they started attacking me as I was feeding them rye bread. And then they all started attacking me. But I still kept on feeding the swans because all I wanted to do was to feed the swans. Anyways, what was I talking about? The rye bread. In fact, the rye bread was very delicious. I didn't save a piece for myself, but perhaps I should have saved a piece for myself. Anyways, I ended up feeding the swans that were attacking me. And in some form of miracle, the rye bread did in fact manage to subdue and pacify the evil attacking swans. They were so distracted by the delicious and nutritious rye bread that they started eating it instead of pecking at me. And I was very, very happy that I had somehow managed to subdue these very aggressive and vile creatures. But they did look rather adorable as they were eating their rye bread. I was very happy and satisfied, and once they were all sated with all of their hunger was sated, I walked away and everything was perfect.